Welcome back to the channel and welcome to Cape Town, the effortlessly beautiful Cape Town, which is where I've landed this morning, and I'm at Hout Bay right now. This is absolutely stunning. Some thoughts on yesterday's game then. Your thoughts in the comments down below, let me know. And hit subscribe and give the video a thumbs up. This is all, I can't believe I'm here. I'm about to go out on a boat, go and see some sea lion. This country is ridiculous, it's amazing. But anyway, let's talk about the rugby, because I am fully aware, and thank you for bearing with me, that it was all just a bit of a blur because the occasion was so incredible. So I thought I'd add a bit of flesh on the bones from a rugby perspective. And first and foremost, kind of to reiterate what I said yesterday, that was a proper test match. I was here in South Africa for the Ireland test matches at Loftus Versfeld and at Kings Park in Durban. And yeah, reflecting on it, that felt like another level up in intensity. And I don't know how much of that was the occasion just felt more intense, or whether I'm minded to say that the rugby stepped up in intensity, and that's even when you account for the number of errors that there were and the fact that these two teams can and will get better, and that there's areas to improve, which we'll get into. Just the intensity was incredible, and I was told so many times in comments, and thank you for them, and leave them down below. I was told in so many comments, I was told by people when I visited last time, oh, just wait for Ellis Park, the All Blacks, that's going to be amazing. It completely lived up to the billing, utterly justified it. And the overwhelming thought coming away from that game, one of the things I've been thinking is, do you remember that New Zealand team of 2011 to 2015? I was talking about it on the channel. This South Africa side have got an opportunity to try and be regarded in that kind of light that the New Zealand 2015 All Blacks were. That's the challenge for them. They're not there yet, but I'll tell you what they share with that New Zealand team is an unshakable self-belief. Well, I guess that comes from winning 2 World Cups. But do you remember that New Zealand team with Richie McCaw and Dan Carter and all those legends? They're down on the scoreboard with time running out, and you just knew it was inevitable. They were going to win. They were going to reel you in. And they did it so many times, and that's how this South Africa team felt. It felt like 10 points down with, you know, the clock ticking. They just had that inner belief and confidence. There was no panic, no calmness, and that's even in a team which had a handful of youngsters that have not won World Cups. And in fact, the closing moments of that match was kind of defined by big plays from some of those new faces. Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu being one of them. And yeah, don't forget he's half English. So we claim some credit for that. Let me tell you, because this kid is World Player of the Year in the future. The story of the game, though, I think ultimately was the benches of the two sides. New Zealand's it's just not good enough yet. It's not good enough yet. They didn't have enough to close the game out. They played a heck of a match. Their starting 15 were absolutely heroic. They held the scrum. They absolutely walked that first maul try in. Their defence was huge. And tactically, I thought they were excellent. I mentioned it on the video yesterday morning before the game. I think what the All Blacks might do is kick and say, go on then, South Africa, you've picked a really fast back three. Let's see what you got, counter-attack. And then trust their defence to catch them. And they did. And they did it brilliantly. And as a result, they got the territorial dominance in those early stages. And yeah, but they did not have the class to finish the job. When you look at that bench, I think it was really noticeable that Scott Robertson did not make most of the New Zealand changes till quite late in the game. I think he recognises the bench are a big drop down from the first team in some positions. And that's not because Sam Darry and Sam Penny-Finau aren't excellent players or going to be really good players. They are, but they're not there yet. And when you compare those, Sam Penny-Finau and Sam Darry to Quacker Smith and Eben Etzebeth, there is no comparison. And that is where the game was won and lost. And that's where the depth that South Africa have, which I don't think has ever been better. I think, yeah. I mean, look at the New Zealand bench as well. Cortez Ratimer. Again, he's going to be a really good player. But he's a 9 that you want on the field if you are points down and trying to chase the game. A bit like Grant Williams for South Africa, oddly. Grant Williams can close the game out, I'm sure, and Cortez Ratimer, with that experience, it will be invaluable for these guys on the losing and the winning team to deal with that situation again. So they'll be in a better position for it. But yeah, I just think if you're summarising that match, it is a tale of two benches, and South Africans was far superior. One question I don't know the answer to now that I was really interested: what was the plan for Andre Pollard? The injury to Kurtley Arendse, the concussion, that forced Rassie Erasmus's hand, and Andre Pollard was slotted in the centre with Dialende out one, Creel out one. What was the plan? Was Andre Pollard going to come on at fly half? Was Sasha going to go to full back? Or was it something else? Was it always the plan for Andre to be 12? I know Rassie did mention Andre Pollard can play 12. All I do know is that Andre Pollard is an absolute rock star of a rugby player. He is so good. And he's only going to be 33 at the next Rugby World Cup. And to have him as a guiding hand for Sasha is absolutely massive. And I say a guiding hand, you get the sense that, I'm not sure Sasha needs a guiding hand. He's got such confidence. Nailed that kick from 60 metres, attempted the drop goal, missed it, didn't faze him, and that will come back. He will use that experience, and there'll be a big game in the future when he'll get an opportunity for a drop goal, and he will absolutely nail it. So I was just looking behind me because there are sea lions floating around, and I just heard a noise. It's just the waves crashing on the harbour. It is unreal here. It really is. I cannot wait to hear the reception that Sasha Feinberg Ngomazulu gets here in Cape Town. Yeah, he's an absolute superstar. But the bit I love the most, 24-27 down, and South Africa decide not to go for goal when they have a penalty. They go for the corner, but they don't just go for the corner. Sasha goes for the corner flag and gets it within 5. Just, that is mentality that, for a kid of that age, yeah, special. And I've been raving about him for ages on the channel, so I'll stop, because I think if you've watched for any length of time, you know my thoughts on Sasha Feinberg and Ngomazulu. But let me just say, D-Mac was absolutely ace too. I haven't watched the game back in full, but my memories of yesterday was D-Mac in the second receiver position a lot of the time. I thought it worked really well with Geordie Barrett stepping up almost to 10 and giving the ball out the back. I thought it worked really well. So actually, D-Mac was in a position that he quite often would find himself in when he was playing fullback for the Blacks. And his tactical kicking was great. Beauden Barrett did not have a good day at the office. And uncharacteristic mistakes. There was a lot of mistakes generally, but the one real positive for New Zealand, there were a few actually, it was 10, 12, 13 was excellent. I'll come to their pack in a minute. Mistakes though, key factor. Let's talk about them. That's the other story of the game, errors. New Zealand's counter-attack from mistakes was outstanding. So you cannot kick badly or cough up the ball and not be organised in defence against the All Blacks, and South Africa were. I like that South Africa were trying to attack, trying the offloads. But if you're going to try high-risk rugby, you have to flip that switch in transitions, and if you lose the ball, get yourself organised in defence. They were not, and as a result, New Zealand were deadly, and those tries for Caleb Clark were a huge part of it. I'll come to mistakes from the officiating team in a minute. I wanted to leave that to the end. I want to talk about all the positives about the players first. The New Zealand pack deserve huge credit. They held the South Africa scrum. They got on top of them in the line out, and if you're looking at South Africa, that's an area they can improve. Their line out looked wobbly, and the scrum did not have the impact. Terrell Lomax held Oxenche, and Terrell Lomax's hands around the park, he had a proper game. He really did. Scott Barrett will be absolutely, well, no, he was absolutely fuming. His face in the post-match press conference, he was gutted. And I wonder, here's a question, thinking about personnel for next week, will Scott Barrett move to 6? Should Scott Barrett move to 6? Because it just felt like New Zealand did not quite have they didn't have the power. They didn't have the power to win, and maybe an extra big body, maybe that's the way. Then again, New Zealand don't have the depth. They've lost Whitelock and Retallick. Sam Darry's going to be a decent player, but he's not there yet. So who knows? As for personnel for South Africa, we'll see a play. He got a crack to the cheek. Kurtley Arendse, I cannot imagine him playing. He was like Bambi on ice after getting up from trying to tackle Rico Ioane's thigh and coming off second best in that one. So I hope he gets well soon, but I don't think Kurtley Arendse will play next week. So what happens there, we'll see. But the South African defence was massive. absolutely, I think it was noticeable that Blackadder was really industrious, Kane worked hard, Savia worked hard, but all three of them got absolutely smashed on the gain line, and that was huge. So I think I've covered most bases. Now let's talk about the mistakes from the TMO and the officiating team. I don't know how that first try for South Africa was given, having watched the replays now. How was that not given? Bongi dropped it, right? I don't blame the referee for that. He was unsighted. Same with the assistant referee, but the TMO should have spotted that. Then again, hold on, Jeff Wilson before the Rugby World Cup, too much TMO. John Kerwin before the Rugby World Cup, too much TMO. So careful what you wish for, I guess. As I said yesterday, I don't think it affected the game. I really don't think it affected the match. There was other things going on. It looked to me like Damien McKenzie's first conversion was after the shot clock, and there was the confusion with Sasha's kick on the shot clock as well. So there's a few things I'd say that actually the referee's going to come under scrutiny for that, but I think that was out of his control. And it's again, it's a weak-minded team that just blames an officiating decision for a result. If you have 80 minutes and you can put the game beyond doubt, and New Zealand, rather than moaning about one refereeing decision, which, yeah, fine, went against them, others will go for them in the future. But if you're left complaining about that, you haven't done your job. And New Zealand's discipline in the last quarter, their control kicking-wise in the last quarter, and the impact of their bench was not good enough, and that is where the game was won and lost. But I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved that match. Proper test match rugby, the atmosphere at that ground, the noise after Quacker Smith's try. That's something I'm going to remember for a very long time. I couldn't hear myself. The noise was right up there with some of the best moments in any sporting match, any rugby match I've ever seen. But the whole occasion was very, very special. For that to be my first experience of Ellis Park, I feel very, very lucky. And I feel very grateful that after months of endless rain, I fly into Cape Town and it's absolutely putting on a show. I might have to go and buy a lottery ticket the way things are going. Thank you for watching. Hit subscribe on the channel. I'll see you on the next one.